Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. First of all, apologies if I get a bit sniffly or anything like that. I'm currently getting over a cold, so I do apologise if there's any of that going on in the video. But this video is the flick through for the April issue of Wargames Illustrated, issue 412. And off the bat we get a freebie, Bolt Action Late War British and Canadian Infantry, but we'll look at the sprue towards the end of the video. On the cover we've got some nice artwork depicting British troops coming ashore in Normandy, and if we open her up we come straight into the contents, and then as per usual the subscriptions page. So moving on, Team Yankee for Flames of War. These are Warsaw Pact T-72 Tank Battalion and BNP Motor Rifle Battalion. Now these are really good. These are very much Soviet era battle formations that the West would have been facing should World War III have taken place in the late 80s, early 90s. And in these sets, for starter forces for only £80, you get 7 T-72B tanks, 5 T-55 AM tanks, 2 BRDM-2 SA-9 Gaskin or Spandrel vehicles. So that will be these little armoured cars with the missiles on top. You get 2 Milmi 24 Hind helicopters, 2 Su-17 Fitter fighter bombers, and then the ancillaries to go with it: flight stands, some rare earth magnets, complete A5 rulebook, and start here booklet. For the Warsaw Pact BMP Motor Rifle Battalion, you get 9 BMP-1 or BMP-2 armoured fighting vehicles. If I remember rightly, I think the main differences between those are going to be the turrets on BMP-1 and BMP-2. 9 assault rifle teams, 6 RPG-7 anti-tank teams, 5 T-55 AM tanks, 2 BRDM SA-9 Gasking or Spandrel vehicles, 2 Su-25 Frogfoot aircraft, and then obviously the ancillaries: flight stands, rulebook, and start here booklet. But I think for 80 quid, they're not bad start sets if you want to go red. Okay, coming into the quick fire, which is basically readers' letters, pictures of their miniatures. We've got a nice guy here who has painted some Rohirrim on horseback. He's also done a little bit of customization with his Theoden miniature, changing the beard, so apparently it's more in line with the description in the books rather than the films. And then we have some guys building Wild West in 15mm, which actually looks quite good. Observation post: rules, supplements, figures, terrain, hobby gear and more. New and forthcoming war games, stuff you need to know about. So this double page spread is about rapid fire blitzkrieg battle games, and it's essentially just a book wargaming the early war years with the German blitzkrieg. We then have Dungeons and Lasers, Draculus, the Cunning, and Dragon of Skargonrog. So we don't see Draculus, but we see Sharma Gonrog here in all his glory, which is quite great. It's really lovely on that one there. And then some North Star military figures, French on the retreat from Moscow, 1812. Release radar, taking a look at our monthly release radar. So we have the first article here is things about dwarves, jesters and halflings for some different games. Mummy tomb set here. We have some tiny scale esoterica sewage works and flora for via war bases. 2mm offerings, so tiny scale war games. And then we have some deep sea camel cultist here. So sequels, camel gunner, and then we have some Victorian deep sea divers available from stevebarbermodels.com and newlinedesigns.co.uk. Moving forward, miniaturized destruction, artemiswarfare.co.uk, a great siege ballista, I want to say. A lithobolus from Artemis Warfare. And Kickstarter here for some bits and pieces that are apparently coming up. As it says here, first up is Lunar City from Crooked Dice. This adds to their 7TV pulp game and takes its seed from the pulp sci-fi TV shows of the mid-20th century. That means there's all kinds of Buck Rogers campy goodness, and it will provide some interesting gaming possibilities. Now, looking at these guys with their red suits with the black accents and the weapons, they remind me very much of the visitors from V. So not the remake, but the original 80s programme. Robert Englund starred in it as one of the visitors, which was quite cool. Full paper jacket. Now we've got quite a few books here again as usual, which is great. 3 that kind of stuck out to me was there's for the Ancients, it's 3 epic battles that saved democracy: Marathon, Thermopylae and Salamis. So that's obviously great for your Ancients, etc. Napoleonics, we have Wellington's Waterloo allies, and then we have Hell in the Streets of Husabay. Basically the 7th Marines, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines in Iraq. Facing the Elements. Now you're going to see throughout this magazine that the focus is kind of like on the elements. So this talks about bringing the various different elements, water, wind, snow, rain, etc. into your wargamings. Along with fire and some other bits and pieces. It's a very interesting article, and it's worth a read. Then we got some Zinch artwork here. We then have Blam Blam Arch, an ambush, a new scenario from Daniel Mercy for use in Blam Blam Arch, which was included as a freebie with Wargames Illustrated 404. So this gives you the background, tabletop layout, how to make your tabletop grids, etc. Special rules, and how to play the game. So yeah, there you go. And it looks like it is predominantly a Vietnam era battle game. Right, we then have This is an article. It says cover mount focus. British infantry face the weather. Now, I will touch on the lack of instructions later on when I come to it, but this is basically people within the WI team have produced some little mini vignettes of British soldiers using the kit that comes with this, and then another one. So this guy has kind of produced like windy squall weather scenario, and this one has tried to recreate the cover art in miniature vignette form quite well, I think. But that's an article on what these guys have done with their miniatures that came with this mag. Designer's notes, 0 to 100 hours. So this is an article about playing games in the dead of night. So you're patrolling, say for example, or it's a set piece battle at dusk, that sort of thing, a night attack. It's just basically talking about how you can set it up, the things that you can include, like people being noisy, searchlights, etc., raising the alarm, and other things that go along with it. Just stuff that you could put into it to try and turn around and say that this is a night game, and these are the effects that are going to be enforced during that night game. Building the Great War front line. Now, this is another article for Facing the Elements, and this is Earth. And basically, with this one, they have built quite a large World War One trench section, which, to be honest, looks absolutely spectacular. Looking at the pictures here, they've done a phenomenal job, absolutely phenomenal job. So this is the size of the board here. It's got things like a ruined church, destroyed graves, warhorse remains, signs, maps, posters, bunkers, and so on. And as you can see, the board is big enough that you can shoot dioramic pictures without the need for a backdrop. So yeah, really good. So this is an article about a French general, Jean-Jacques Pelissier, who rose to prominence after the Napoleonic Wars, took him to Crimea and France's most famous victory at the Malakoff. So this will be reading about a little bit of history about the person and obviously things that brought him to fame. Facing the Elements article again. This one is naval battles. So obviously lots of elements can be used here. Wind, rain, hurricanes, that sort of thing. Silver Bayonet Society Part 5, it's good to be back. So just talking about bits and pieces with this ongoing campaign. And again, great photos of miniatures on the board and the scenery. Really nice. We then have this is another Facing the Elements article, and this is working on a base board for a Mediterranean beach landing scene, etc. Just going through everything, certainly adding texture to your waves and colouring. And then we go on to 2mm scale wargaming. And this is for Strength and Honour. Tiny-tastic, absolutely fantastic. I mean, looking at these, and these remind me very much of kind of like Warhammer 40,000 Epic, where you're using tiny battalions to represent full battalions on the battlefield. And because they're in that small scale, you can better show the actual numbers that were involved, because there were thousands of people that were concentrated on small battlefields back in those days. Hobby Showcase Classic Citadel Elementals. So, looking at some of the classic Citadel range from years ago, Facing the Elements. Obviously we're talking like water, fire, stone, that sort of thing. Even gives a few little tips in making backdrops, etc. for photographing. And they give you some bits and pieces, some stat lines for each of the, so earth elemental, air elemental, water elemental and fire elemental. And then we have a great article recreating Isandlwana article. Obviously this, if I remember rightly, this occurred prior to Rorke's Drift, and obviously Rorke's Drift kind of took the spotlight away from the fact that a lot of British troops were massacred at Isandlwana. So this is a great thing for recreating that battle, to see, you know, if you'd have played it differently, how it would have gone. Talks about creating the mountain range, creating the mountain, texturing and etc. And this impressive sight of the full board with troops deployed, seeing everything, and then seeing the river where it's kind of like the last remnants of the British troops were chased down to, and so on. So yeah, there you go. Slain Miniatures game, and I've not come across this before, but it looks to be some sort of ancients, possibly Celtic kind of Celtic Maori kind of influences. And then the last couple of pages for advertising. So there we go. Wargaming figures and kits exclusively 172 scale, 172.co.uk. That'll be worth having a look at, I think. I may be having a quick look at that now. Yeah, so I've just had a quick flick through to try and find when the next issue was going to be released, but I couldn't quite see it. No, not seeing when the last issue is going to be released. Let's bring you down and we'll have a look at these British and Canadian Infantry miniatures. Now then, these look fantastic. They're 2020 sculpt, Wargames Limited 2020 on the sprue. It has a set number here, 40303000011. Now I don't know if you buy British and Canadian Infantry from Warlord Games for bolt action, whether you just get repeats of this sprue, but this sprue has got 6 miniatures on it and an absolute plethora of accessories. We have these Canadian type heads. Now I did find, and I'll include the picture in the video so that you can pause it and have a look at it's basically a sprue map with everything numbered and what each is. So these are called Tamashantas, but we have obviously quite a few different, 2, 4, 6, 7 there. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 6 of those. We also have Mark 1/2 helmets and Mark 3 assault helmets, is what they're listed as. Moving down, we then have obviously standard Lee Enfield rifles, and all of these appear to be depicted with bayonets attached. We have some Sten guns, we have some large packs or small packs. I think these are listed as, I think the packs that would go on the back are all listed as small packs. This one has a mug and a infantry pick. We have a Bren gun. Now the Bren gun is nicely moulded, actually. We've got the bolt handle on this side, which is correct. We've got the barrel release catch this side. We've got the little drum sight on it as well. We also get a bipod, and we get this little pack here, which is the spare barrel and basically the accessories holdall for the Brent, so the cleaning kit and other bits and pieces. For example, quite possibly they might have had a round extractor in there as well, and some other bits and pieces. So that is that, which is quite nice. So if you are doing a Bren gun team, so you have a number 1 and a number 2 on the gun, so the number 2 would probably be carrying this. But the one thing that is missing, which I think is a missed opportunity, and that is the an extra ammo box full of Bren gun magazines. because let's face it, the Bren gun was what, 80% firepower in your section, and it was the thing that would cover you when your the rifle part of the section, the rifle team, went into the attack and the assault. So this would be the thing that provided the covering fire right up until the troops reached the assaulting position, and then it would switch fire to engage targets in depth, in theory anyway. They've got a Piet and they've got a 2-inch mortar, and they've got ammunition carriers for those. It's disappointing they didn't include a ammo crate which held, it's just basically a long oblong crate which held several, 10 at least, I think, if I remember rightly, Bren gun magazines, which were you would basically fill them up, and then you have all those magazines available to you. The figures themselves look fantastic, really nicely detailed, standard 37 pattern webbing with 2 ammo pouches, a water bottle, the entrenching tool, but the thing that's missing is the bayonet frog. Now I don't know if this is because they have included little respirator haversacks and the bayonet scabbard seems to be attached to the haversacks. So if you bring that up, you can probably see that they appear to be attached to the haversack. We also have some bandoliers for stun gun magazines, and this looks like just a standard rifle, so that would hold 2 sets of the 5-round clips in each pocket, if I remember rightly, because the 303 Lee Enfield magazine held 10 rounds. We have an officer's map book case, and we have an officer's pistol, and when you look at the small packs, they have things like the rubberized gas cape, or the poncho, as some call it, tucked in the top straps, etc., and some don't. So quite a bit of variety here, and it's really good. My only gripe is, I don't know if you'll be able to, in fact, what I've got one here which is almost off the sprue. Hopefully you'll be able to see if I try and tilt, but the mould lines on this are actually really pronounced. They're quite thick, so there's going to be a fair bit of cleanup on these prior to assembly and painting. The only other thing as well, my gripe with getting these is that there's no instructions on, I mean, obviously you put them together how you wish, but a very simple guide on putting them together would have been nice, included in the magazine. And secondly, there's no bases, so you will need to find your own bases for these, which is fine if you're already a bolt action player. Not so good if you're somebody that's like me. I don't have any bolt action bases. I have plenty of CITADEL bases, but not just flat disc bolt action bases, so I'll see what I can come up with, but I may join me in the next part of this video and I'll probably put a couple together. Okay, see you in a sec. Let's make a Bren gunner, shall we? So I've clipped off all the parts, I've cleaned up the mould lines, hopefully that will be okay. Now I always, if I'm making something with a weapon which is obviously pointing in a particular direction, then I always put the weapon arms on first, and then put the head on. So just lining that up to, yeah, that looks to be about level. And then the left arm with the barrel handle, which then attaches to the top of the barrel. Just there, like so. So that's the basic gist. I've then got the head, to go on. Like so, and then the helmet. Now I'm using a Mark III helmet, so where it's elongated towards the back, that obviously goes towards the back of the head. And there you go, one bolt action Bren gunner. I'll pop the bipod legs on a bit later, but there you go. Nice and easy. If I want to, I can add in the ancillaries like the respirator case and the pack on his back as well. But yeah, cool. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that and you'll join me in the next video. Alright, take care. Bye.